Greetings, dear viewers, and welcome to another video on Hades Beer Corner with me, Hades, and Alfred. Alfred is a Moomin ancestor, and he has a familial relation to Bertil, one of my two co-hosts on my main channel, Heidi's Corner. But the extent of the familial relation is yet to be announced. As the title of the video would suggest, the uh, beer of the day, the beer we're going to talk about this in this video is Heart of Danger, the Affair West Coast India Pale Ale. Heart of Danger is the brewery, and the Affair West Coast is presumably the name or the name of this particular beer, and it has 6.5% alcohol by volume. So that's on the perhaps on the probably the stronger side for an India Pale Ale, but I'll mention I'll even mention about that a bit later. So, ales. It's a type of a beer that it is the brewing is using warm fermentation method, result which gives a rather sweet and fruity taste. However, with the very little residual sugars that are present in India Pale Ale, that leaves in those pale ales and especially India Pale Ale, those are quite bitter, especially India Pale Ales, because those are quite highly hopped, and hop brings bitterness to the taste. The more hop, the bitter it is, the more bitter it is. But that's something entirely different. And warm fermentation is one of the three main methods of fermentation. The two others being cool, and the third being wild or spontaneous. The cool fermentation is around, I believe, 10 degrees Celsius, and the warm fermentation then, in some cases, at some points throughout the fermentation process, up to 65 to 7 up to 70 60 to 70 degrees Celsius. So the latter, the wild slash spontaneous fermentation, is a brewing type which is has been historically and presently used in Brussels, Belgium, and the nearby Bayottenland to brew, for example, lambics, which are a great example of using this particular brewing method. But that is something that I will cover on a later video. What these different brewing methods mean, but that's for something for a later date. As I've mentioned in my previous ale videos, ale, like other beer types, has a bittering agent to balance out the malt and the sweetness that comes out from the brewing process. If you don't add a bittering agent, and it's also a also to act as a preservative. And the effect of being a preservative will become important later in this video. Ale was originally bittered with a mixture of herbs or spices called grout, or Gruit, uh, which was boiled in before the fermentation. Later, the hops replaced this as a bittering agent, and it turns out it's, as far as I can tell, it's a bit hops is a bit better preservative, which is even more important in this particular in India Pale Ale due to historical reasons. So now for the beer of the day. Ales have several subtypes slash subgenres of different groups of ales. So ale is pretty much some sort of kind of an umbrella term. And India Pale Ale is one of them, and the Belgian ales one thing, and then the pale ales have different subcategories, as well as the India Pale Ale, which this beer is one of them, the Affair West Coast. And there are different some types of hops have been developed for to use in particular for India Pale Ales and Pale Ales. Pale Ale it was originally brewed typically in South England, and it was used. The malt was dried with a certain type of fossil fuel called coks, which is low, something like low carbon coal or something like that. This, please correct me if I'm correct. And that brought a significantly very distinct taste to that. But India Pale Ale, it's a very distinct, and that has a somewhat empirical or colonial undertone to that name. India Pale Ales have a somewhat higher alcohol content, and as mentioned previously, very few residual sugars, and it's very strongly hopped, being strongly hopped and having very little residual sugars to sweeten it up. It makes these India Pale Ales quite somewhat more bitter than other ales, for example, or other pale ales. This type of beer, India Pale Ale, was born during the time when India had become under the control of the British Empire, owned the East India Company, and later the colony of the British Crown. The India Pale Ale, higher alcohol content. This has 6.5, and then the amount of residual sugars made it able to withstand the long boat journeys to India. It was affordable, and for example, one of the first known brewers of pale ale, George Hodgins, to import them to India, had a quite liberal 18-month credit line, which helped, the traveling back and forth to India. The origins of this beer style is very imperialistic, to say the least. It was born is the bastard child of colonial brewing, but it's still very popular type of beer. There are different pale ales that that resemble India Pale Ale quite a bit. The short for India Pale Ale is IPA. For some, and in Finland, where we have at least one type of IPA beer, and that is Iisalmi Pale Ale. Basically, it's basically India Pale Ale made in the city of Iisalmi, where there's a major brewery in that town, or well, it's not a town, but it's a big city. Anyway, it's India Pale Ale, but interestingly enough, this particular beer is from Vietnam. The brewery name is Heart of Darkness. The name is quite interesting, and the labeling of the can is also quite curious. Curious labeling. Probably it could there could be some connotations to certain war Vietnam. There's a dark jungle and a shipwrecked boat, and who knows what. So I couldn't find any particularly interesting backstory for the name of the brewery or the name of the beer, the FA West Coast India Pale Ale. So please let me know if you have you can find any interesting stories. I found this particular brew while a small while ago when I was looking for interesting beers to review on my channel, and this was on the special stuff shelf in the nearby liquor store. So I brought it up and let's have a taste. Okay, I just poured it in the glass. It's as I would have expected. The head is firm, somewhat thick, long lasting. It's pale. It's golden or golden brown is the typical for color for pale ale, or yeah, pale ale, India Pale Ale. So this is golden, I would say, not golden brown. The smell is fruity and perhaps a bit bitter. Wow, it's actually good. I don't usually like uh you know other than my favorites are porter, stout, imperial stout, Baltic porter, etc. The Belgian Abbey beers, the Trappist beers, and I hate lager. It's just not my cup of tea. But this, even though this is bitter, there's someone who pointed out to me that the beers that I like are quite sweet in taste. That is quite correct. And this is very highly hopped, very highly, no, very little sugar, not sweet, bitter, hoppy, but still good. Still good. I highly recommend this particular. So, Heart of Danger is brewery, the FA West Coast India Pale Ale. I highly recommend. And this particular beer is from Vietnam. So apparently they can make very good beer in Vietnam. So that was it for this video. And this is Alfred, Bertil's relative, a Moomin ancestor. So thank you for watching this video. Please check the links in the description box. Leave a like and subscribe and tickle the notification bell so you don't miss any future content.